Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is Katrina Davis and I'm so glad that you're here today. Today I'm talking about how I got my credit score to be over an 800 and I have a few secrets, a few things that maybe you haven't heard of before, so I hope I can be of some help today as I share my story. And let's talk about why credit is so important. I think people sleep on the power of credit, but it can't be underestimated. Credit and your credit score can literally change your finances. So that might mean that the difference between you paying like a 10% interest rate on a car versus a 4 versus a 1, like which one do you want to be a part of? Because that could mean extra hundreds of dollars coming out of your finances every month. It is really important that we stay on top of our credit and realize the power that it has for us. I remember even watching Adrienne Bailon's video, and she's obviously a celebrity, and she said that she could not even get an apartment in California without her sister co-signing the apartment because of her credit. So that just shows you this is a whole celebrity who could not even get an apartment because of her credit. It is so important that we manage our credit and that we rock that thing like a baby. Like, we need to be caressing our credit, making sure nobody is stepping on her, just making sure that she's staying cute and pretty. Like, we have to protect our credit with everything that we have. And I cannot stress that enough. I can't stress it enough. Let's go back in time a little bit. So if you've seen my very first video about money, I shared that I am a good old country girl, born in a very humble family who worked hard. We had the currency of generational love and support, but we didn't have a ton of money, and we didn't grow up poor by any means. We definitely had a good life. However, I know that I didn't learn a ton about managing money in a way that would yield me more fruit in the future. So my level of understanding about money came over time, came from me reading books, listening to podcasts, reading articles about money so that I could get good with it and live my best life when I got older. So let's see. My credit journey starts off in college. I went to the College of Charleston in South Carolina. Go Cougars if you've heard of it. And I got my very first credit card at American Eagle, y'all, out of all places. American Eagle, then it was Victoria's Secrets, then it was Express, then it was Belk, then it was JCPenney, and then it was K's Jewelers. Like, why was I getting a credit card at all these places? But I did not know anything about credit. All I knew was that they were going to give me a card, and I felt like I was official or something. So I had all these cards and I really did not know what to do with them. So sometimes I would swipe here, swipe there. Heard that you should swipe your card sometimes. And I was just winging it, really. Then I noticed that one of my cards, the credit limit went from like $500 to $2,500. And I don't know what it was, but that made me really, really uncomfortable. I was like, why are they giving a college student like me with not much income a credit limit so big? So I started doing some research and saw that sometimes they do this so that you can spend more money and ultimately get in debt and owe them for eternity. So I decided that I was cutting up all my department store cards. I cut them all up. I closed out many of the accounts. And now in retrospect, I probably should have done it like that, but that's what I did because I felt like I was going to get trapped. So I was really nervous about getting into debt, and I said, no, they won't get me caught up. So I cut them all off, and I said I was going to start over. So in 2011 or so, I opened up my kind of first big girl credit card. I decided I would open up, I think, 3 at one time because I wanted to diversify the type of credit cards that I had, and I wanted them to be official credit cards, not store cards. So I went with like your Discover, your American Express, and your Barclays Bank. Cards like that gave me a MasterCard, an Amex, and a Visa. That was my strategy. So I maintained those cards for quite a long time. Over time, I spent a little bit on the card and paid it right back off. So I never carried a balance. Even when I got to be like early graduate school, late college, I tried not to carry balance because I knew that I had no money to pay for it. That really started like my credit journey, where I started taking notice of what was going on. So I think at that time my credit might have been around a 700, could have even been a 690. I cannot remember, but that was my credit. Over time, like I said, I would pay my credit cards back. Didn't carry over a balance, never had a late payment, and I would just continue that. So fast forward to 2014, I graduate from grad school and I need a new car. So I saw a deal on one of the car companies, like commercials or something, where if you were a recent grad, you could get like $500 back for a car, and you could also potentially qualify for like a 0% interest loan on the car. So I said, well, I'll try it, not thinking that they were going to give me this car at a discount and with the 0% interest rate. But lo and behold, they did. And it's only because of that good credit that I have been working on for the past like 5 years. So fast forward to today, my credit score has grown from that 690, 700 to over an 800. If you know anything about credit scores, it kind of fluctuates. So it's over 800. Sometimes I can't keep my finger on what it is, but I am working towards an 850. And I think I can get there one day. We'll see. I think once these student loans get up off me, I think I'll be at an 850. So here are some ways that I keep and maintain my credit. So I monitor my credit on a regular basis. I monitor probably weekly or so. I just like to go into, you can start with Credit Karma, even though Credit Karma kind of overestimates your credit. I think it overestimates your credit, but it's a good baseline just to see what's going on there. But each of the credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, all have their own websites. So that would be the best, most legit place to go. So I monitor my credit on those websites, make sure I'm taking note of any fluctuations, making sure no one's trying to put anything in my name, no ma'am. Make sure my credit isn't being dinged for something I didn't do. I'm just constantly monitoring. And then I also have on the alerts on those different sites. So if something fishy did come across, they'll let me know, and then I can go ahead in and adjust it as quickly as possible or do whatever. I hope that I don't ever have any issues, because nobody wants them problems. So that's what I do on a weekly basis. As far as like financial habits, I never pay bills late. Never pay bills late. I think it's so important to know the bill due date of every single one of your bills, like every single one. And I know the date that every bill of mine is due, and I make sure that I pay it either by the due date, on the due date, or way early, because I don't ever want to be in a situation where it's like, ooh girl, you paid your bills late. So I never pay bills late. Typically, our credit cards, I'll actually pay them throughout the month. And that kind of helps keep you on top of like matching up your credit card spending with the money that you actually have in your account. So let's say I spend $100 one week, I might go ahead and pay that $100 back right away so that I can get it out of my checking account and kind of keep my checking balance with my credit card spending. So that's what I try to do also. And that way I'm really not missing any due dates because I'm paying so frequently throughout the month. Next, I try to only use my credit card for planned purchases. That way I know I have the money kind of earmarked in my account for the credit card bill. So for example, let's say I put my gym membership on the credit card. That's because I already have the gym membership budgeted into my budget. So I get charged on the credit card. I already have it on the budget, so I know that that's getting paid. However, where you kind of get into murky waters is when you're charging something that's not budgeted and you don't have the money to pay for it at the end of the month or by the statement due date. So I try my best to do that. There's going to be times where you might have to charge the credit card and you don't have the money, but you make it a habit of actually paying back your expenses pretty quickly, and that way you won't have to worry about that. So my goal, I've said this since I've figured out these credit cards a little bit, is I do not want to pay interest. I do not want to pay interest. I feel like the only way credit cards really work for me is if I don't pay interest. So that means making sure things are planned, or they're within my budget, or I have the money by the statement due date. So I'm proud to say, and it's been hard sometimes, but I'm proud to say that over my lifetime of having credit cards, I've probably spent no more than $100 of credit card interest. Like, that's just ever. So I think that's pretty impressive to say that people are paying a lot in credit card interest. A lot. And if you are, that, don't be ashamed about that. We'll figure out a plan for you to get that sucker paid off. But credit card interest will eat you alive. It will eat you alive, because that credit card interest is accumulating on your last month's balance, the last month's balance, the last month's balance, on top of anything that you spend this month. And that really keeps you in a cycle of like not ever being able to pay the credit card off. So it's really important to me to try to avoid interest, because once you get that interest charge and you're carrying a balance, it's gonna be very, very hard to pay off your credit card, depending on how much the balance is. All right, next, in keeping a healthy credit profile, is I do not take out unnecessary loans, unnecessary credit cards, any unnecessary lines of credit. I don't even want nobody running my credit like that, because that also dings your credit. So this is something that I wasn't all that knowledgeable about before. Like when I was younger, like I said, when I had all those store cards, I said, ooh, I want that 10% discount. Go ahead and run my credit. Run it here too. While you're at it, go ahead and do it there too. And all that did was ding my credit all those times. I'm getting a ding for the new inquiry, and I'm getting a ding for opening a new line of credit, because that's making the age of my credit younger and younger. So I don't play around like that anymore. I like to keep a pretty clean, crisp profile. So what you want to do is just grow your credit age as much as you can. So a lot of people are getting dinged in this area a lot because their credit age isn't having enough time to grow. Especially if you're younger, like you don't have a lot of years to have like a lengthy credit history. So stop letting people run your credit. Stop letting them run your credit for 20% discount. Stop letting them run your credit like that. So if you're going to run your credit, make sure it's intentional. Make sure it's planned. Make sure you've done your research on whatever you're running the credit for, so that you can make sure it's worthwhile. All right, next, this one right here. This is one of my favorite ones. So I like to keep my credit card balance relatively low to the credit limit that I have. Okay, so that's keeping my balance low to the credit limit. So I can't remember the exact percentage, but these credit card companies are very sneaky. Like, they want to give you all this money, but they don't want you spending a lot of it. So I think they want you to stay under like a 30% utilization, but really anything over a 10% utilization is going to bring your credit down. So I try to keep my my balance at under like 10% of my credit limit. And that can be kind of hard to do depending on how much credit limit you have. But here's where the little sneaky secret sauce comes in at. I like to ask for increases on my credit limit as often as I can. So for a lot of companies, that's like every 6 months. So every 6 months, I'm saying, hey, can I get a little more credit limit? And what that is doing is opening up the door for me to spend a little bit more without getting dinged. So let's say I have $1,000 balance on a $10,000 credit limit of a card. That's only 10% utilization. But if I have $1,000 balance on a $5,000 credit limit card, that's a 20% utilization, and that's going to bring your credit down. So that is the secret sauce, is always ask for more credit limit. But only do this if you have the discipline and willpower to manage that credit limit, because you don't want to go asking for more money and you spend more money and then now you just owe more money. So it's got to be very wise, very intentional, very strategic. And doing this has opened the door for me to have well over $100,000 in credit limits. So I don't ever plan on using that much of nobody's money, right? But it shows that I'm a responsible borrower because I have access to over $100,000 in credit cards, but I'm not using anything close to that. So it's like, oh, well, she manages money pretty good, so we'll give her more money and see if she'll spend that. And listen, I'm not trying to owe nobody that much money. So that is one of the little secret sneaky ways that I like to kind of game the system in a way. All right, so those are a lot of my tips on how I have managed my credit and have gotten it to over an 800 credit score. And I am so proud of this. This is something that I worked very, very hard for, something that I'm just always thinking about, always trying to be mindful of. So I'm very, very proud of my 800 something credit score. Like, I want to toot my horn about that. And we don't always see people like me with a score like this. I think we get so used to the tale of, you know, Black people, especially people that live in rural communities or are from rural communities, having like low credit or being poor. And that's not my story. And I'm so proud that I could share that so that I can inspire your story as well. So if you're like me and you haven't grown up learning about this stuff, but you know that you can accomplish it, let this be the tale for you that you absolutely can. You can take control of your money, you can take control of your credit, and you can build the financial life of your dreams. So that is my goal, to share my story as much as I can and inspire you to go after your own goals. If you want to learn more about this topic, I wrote a blog post about this on my blog, KatrinaDavis.com. I'll leave the link to the blog post in the description down there. You can go check that out, take notes, do whatever you need to do. But listen, 800 credit score baddies, that's what we after. And I wish that for all of you. I want us to be able to accomplish our goals through the management of our money. So that means that when you're ready to go and buy what you want to buy, you can get it and credit won't be the problem for you. Which one of these tips was the best tip that you needed to hear today? And go ahead and drop us more tips down here in the comments. I know people are always looking for ways to increase their credit. So share whatever knowledge that you have so that we can help the fam out. If you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and press that subscribe button so that you don't miss out when I drop a new video.